I was actually at home, and I had went out to get food for my daughter and her boyfriend, and then I come back, and then I went to get Subway for me and Summer. So whenever I went out the second time, um, that one of the cousins had called my daughter and let her know what was going on. So she actually drove out to come find me so she could get a hold of me before someone else did, because she didn't want, me to take everything really bad or something like that. She didn't want me to be distraught. she,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, she just didn't want me to be distraught over it. So she come out to actually find me because she knew I would be.
How are you doing today?
Um, I mean, it's probably one of the hardest days of, my life, of my adult life for, me and all of my family.
Now, Guy is. You have 3 children with Guy?
Yes,
How long were you guys together for?
we had a rocky relationship. So I've known him for 22 years, and we just kind of had an off and on relationship, for a while, and then it kind of spiraled out, it kind of just stopped.
As far as what that relationship was like right now, did you primarily talk just about the kids, or was there a custody thing going on at all? What was that?
Yeah, it was mostly about the kids for the most part. We had times that we had tried to work on our relationship and try to put our family back together, probably many times, and then overall it just wouldn't work out because he had two big major issues. One was mental illness and the other one was drug addiction. So that had a lot. It impacted the situation a lot.
Leading up to this shooting, were things tense between you two?
Not really, because we hadn't talked for probably about 4 weeks or something like that. But the time that we did talk, the last time we did talk, it had been a tense situation. And I had brought Summer out here to the church because I thought that's a good place for us to meet. And because he said he wanted to see her. So I brought her out here, and he did kind of get a little, rowdy and inappropriate and said some inappropriate things. And I told him that I would not be coming back out to do that again because the situation was a little toxic.
I'm sure for you two, you're doing what's best for your children. And
Yes, I think that's the biggest concern about all this is all the children that's involved in it. Because my sister had very little small children, and I had children as well. They're grown. It doesn't make it any easier for either situation, but obviously the children are the most important thing out of all of it.
this is tragic all around, and I understand what he did was awful, but you also have your children who lost their father at the same time.
Yeah, it's
tricky.
that, and it's because and my sister's children lost their mother, so that's terrible. It's a terrible thing, and it's very hard for me as well because my mother and sister lost their life at the hands of my children's father. That's terrible. It's a terrible feeling.
That's hard to wrap your head around.
It is.
As far as your other children, how are they hanging in there with all of this today?
My kids are very strong and they're very resilient, so I'm very lucky about that. So they're doing okay, and she's doing okay as well. So
Is there anything you'd like the public to know about this, or I don't know?
I feel like drug court failed him very much so because he had went in drug court, and it's supposed to be a program where it helps the people to come out on this other side, not on drugs and not, still in the life of crime. And they're actually supposed to help them to, get situated into housing and get themselves on their feet and to get jobs and things like that. And I don't feel like any of those things were met with him at all. At all. I think he just really was able to go through drug court with not very much supervision or something. I'm not sure. Someone dropped the ball on that situation. I'm not really sure who it was or what. It was Lexington, Kentucky, but someone there wasn't not doing their job because he was never sober the whole time he was in drug court. He was never sober. He never really got a job. He never done any of those things. So there's no proof of that either, except for people, maybe false signatures or something. I have no idea. But it definitely was something I felt failed him. I felt like the justice system somewhat failed him because he's been in and out of prisons and things like that. And not only did they fail him, but they failed the people that was affected by this ultimately, And that's a horrible, horrible thing. And losing my mother and my sister and my children's father the same day is terrible. It's a terrible thing. Like there's nothing good that come out of this at all. There's nothing good to be said about it. I don't think there's even a lesson to come out of it other than the fact that drug court should pay attention to the people that are in there. And if someone has help, needs help with drugs or mental health, they need to get help. But I know that's easier said than done because a lot of people with those two issues, they just don't even really realize they need the help. So I think awareness should always be brought to that. And the more awareness that we can have around it, the better.
As far as, was there any custody battle going on between you and him at the
No,
time?
because our children are 18 years old,
so
there's no custody battle at all.
Yeah. So they're all over 18?
They're all over 18,
Okay.
so there was never a custody battle. We had always tried to just work things out like everybody else does.
Yeah.
And those things went well until his mental health started to spiral very much out of control. I felt my daughter was unsafe, so I had to back off a little bit with that. But there was never a custody battle between us.
Anything else you'd like to say? If not, those are all the questions I have for you.
Not really. I mean, it's just a horrible loss. It's so much loss and too much for one person to handle, I think.